Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am Morris Merriweather, the author of Enough is Enough. Public education has spiraled out of control. Also, I'm the host of Straight Talk in room 503, where you get the messy truth about public education. Ladies and gentlemen, tell a friend, text a friend, call a friend, tweet a friend, and tell them that Professor Merriweather is back in class with the messy truth. Today will be a short class. Going to let you go home early for the weekend. But ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'm going to bring you the truth about what's going on with public education. This week, I'm going to also throw in, as Mama used to when she would make soup, would put a little peas, a little corn, a little okra, a little this, a little that. Today, something's cooking in the Kelly good for you. And I'm going to cook up you a good order of food for thoughts. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pause and give you a chance to call some friends, tell them, friend, Professor Merriweather's back in class. If you want to have the messy truth, you better get there because he's about to call the roll. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to pause a few minutes. I'm going to call the roll. And if you're not present, I'm marking you absent. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk a little, very brief, about the tornadoes, the hurricanes, the flooding in Florida, in Texas, in Charleston, and other areas around. Fires in Oregon, Montana, and California. Drought in North Korea. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. When we ask across this great country, and we're talking in particular about people in color and poor whites, Mexicans, Puerto Rican, Hispanics. When we ask to be given a quality education to our children as well as their children, that was something very simple. But then the powers to be, including our illustrious president, continued to cut funding through our Secretary of State, Betsy, taking money and giving it to charter schools and private schools. Ladies and gentlemen, that was wrong. Then throughout the state and the nation, increased the employment of white administrators and white teachers while keeping the ratio of black administrators and black teachers, and in particular black males, at an all-time low. Then there were statements made that they're hard to find. Ladies and gentlemen, if they're so hard to find, somebody tell me the hell why is so many in prison. It's not hard to find them when it's come time to go to court and get the shackles on and go to prison. But when it's time for them to be role models and teachers in the public school system, it's hard to find them. I hope that you are not like President Trump today when he called his Attorney General ignorant. Ladies and gentlemen, I didn't understand it. If I had to be called ignorant by my boss, who asked me and hired me, then all of a sudden, because I don't do all the things he wanted me to, he said to the whole nation, and with the telecast being able to go in foreign countries, he told the world that Sessions was an ignorant man. Sessions says he tried to turn his resignation in and it wasn't accepted. But ladies and gentlemen, he's different from me. I'd rather be standing in a food line waiting for my soup than to be called an ignorant man by a man that's Mr. Ignorant of the Year. But I guess if you want a job real bad, and thank God I'm blessed that I don't have to take no more foolishness, and I'm retired. Don't have to take anything. I'm a free man. This black man's free. Free indeed. Don't have to take anything from white man, black man, brown man, blue man. I can be free to do God's will and work in the vineyard as a missionary for his children. That's what I'm going to do. But ladies and gentlemen, listen. On today, which is Thursday, Donald Trump went to the area hit by a hurricane and was there helping the best he knew how. And then, before he could get back to the White House on Air Force One, he's gone back to talking about there are bad boys on each side. The protesters are some bad boys, and the white supremacists, bad boys. He just does not want to call them out for what they are. Yet it's a sad day in that senators and congressmen, and in particular a large number of Republicans, still supporting and following Donald Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, if I have to live in fear that if I don't do what Mr. Donald said, Mr. Donald J. Trump, that I may not be elected again, I may not be a senator, I may not be a congressman, I may not be in the cabinet. That's the difference in me and them. Before I'll be a slave to anyone, to any circumstances, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to serve my Jesus. But ladies and gentlemen, these are millionaires and people of power. If I had to kiss butt, and I'm a man of independence because of my financial position, but I want power so much and so bad that I will kiss Donald J. Trump rear. It's a sad day. How do you go home to your wife and family as a man, and yet in America, years back, the black man was not considered a man, 2/3 of a man. I like to know when these senators and these congressmen and these Republicans' heads, when they get home, does Melanie say, "Welcome home, you half of a man"? What did your children say? "Daddy, I look up to you. You're strong. You're independent. You do the right thing. You say the right thing." But yet, they're talking about poor children. Oh, they're not going to be nothing. You can't teach them. They never going to be anything. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a sad day. We're at the finally end, and all kind of mess is going on if you can't see it. Millions and millions of dollars, billions and billions of dollars will be spent. Whole islands are lost. 90% of states are gone. The shelters are loaded with people who can't go home because there is no home. Can't drive the cars. It's been underwater and it's in a mess. Can't go to work because the place I used to work for is filled with mud. Ladies and gentlemen, it's crying time, but it's praying time. And until you do right by God, things are going to turn out not good for you. He said in his word, the nation is sick until my people called by my name would humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways. Then and only then will they hear from heaven, and I'll heal the land. And the land is getting sick by the days. That fool over in North Korea is threatening us every day. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to bomb you. He says it's going to be dark days. Ladies and gentlemen, it's already dark. But ladies and gentlemen, listen. We're going to spend billions of dollars when I and others like Professor Baxter and others in other states and across this nation, we're not the only one, was asking for dollars that our children, that is our children of color and poor whites and Mexican, Puerto Ricans and what have you, be treated fairly, be given the resources, be given the quality teachers, be given quality education. It fell upon deaf ear. But now there's 18-wheelers being loaded from private school to public school to churches. This is talking about we're coming together. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when we was having the catastrophe of not every child getting a quality education, I didn't see truckloads of books, 18-wheelers of effective teachers being carried to those schools and say, look, we bought you teachers of quality that can teach anybody's child. But yet we stack water and food and what supply. And they need it, don't get me wrong. In fact, my heart goes out to them. And so if you don't mind, join me as we pause for a few moments for those who lost their lives in their life in the flood, in the hurricanes, in the tornadoes, in the fires that are burning across 3 states. Let's pause for a few moments, ladies and gentlemen, and let's count our blessing. Because it could have been us. We're just a day away. A tornado can come in just any moment now. Fire could begin to destroy your communities and whatever. It can happen, ladies and gentlemen. We live from moment to moment, second to second. Let us pray. Thank you. Amen. We must continue to put the people of Texas, Florida, the Caribbeans, the Virgin Islands, all in our prayers. Ladies and gentlemen, those were places where people went in vacation. Virgin Island was so pretty, the water was so clear, you could see the fish and rocks and put your hand down in the water and could see it. But ladies and gentlemen, the island is gone now. And we must start all back over. When are we going to, as a nation, say we're going to do what's right for all the children? We will pay one way or other. Ladies and gentlemen, and I said this to my grandson, who is off to college to finish up his journalism degree. And I said to him as he goes, son, I just love you to death. But do the right thing. Make sure, number one, your soul is saved. Make sure that you give God some time. Make sure you give God some of your finances, because he only asks for 10%. And I said to him, one or two things. You can either give God the 10%, give God some of your time, give God your praise, or he'll get it one way or the other. You'll either have all kind of car trouble and you'll spend out money on the car. You'll get sick and have to go and spend out money and the doctors will get it. You'll get behind in your bills and the court system and the lawyers will get it. One way or the other, someone's going to get your money that you work for. I'd much rather give it to God because he says it'll come back to you. Bless somebody with it. Send some donation to the hurricane victim. Send up daily prayers. Go to the nursing home and help someone. Volunteer at the school. Tutor a child. Encourage a child. Encourage a teacher. There's so much you can do that you can get your blessing back. Ladies and gentlemen, it's crying time. It's time to do something different. But ladies and gentlemen, we got this crazy man over in North Korea. I won't even dignify him, I call his name. But listen to this. North Korea, the guy who's trying to bomb and kill innocent people. Listen, North Korea is suffering in its 16 years a severe food shortage. But still, with leaders like some of the Republicans with Donald Trump, is still talking mess and talking out of his head. The most vulnerable people in North Korea, I think you know who they are the children and the elderly people who are the worst being hit. In most recent years, where the floods have destroyed homes and villages. And ladies and gentlemen, this man is still talking about killing innocent people. And yet, his people, when you see the telecast, are supporting a man who's threatening to kill innocent people, and they're dying right there in his homeland. Russia is supporting North Korea and meddling in our election. And Donald Trump, our president, is protecting him. And you don't understand about the floods, the tornadoes, the hurricanes, the states that's burning thousands and thousands of acres. And you're sitting back, and our crazy president is saying it don't have anything to do with global warming. And you as a Republican, I'm talking to my Republican friend, and you're so intelligent and not supposed to be so dumb. And you're following a man and supporting a man who talk about groping women and that he can do anything, that I can shoot someone and I can still be elected, and you're still supporting him. But yet, Professor Mayweather, because of the color of his skin, is an ignorant man. I think you need to look up the word ignorance and see, does it fit you? Ladies and gentlemen, I'll take a brief break and I'll be right back to give you the rest of the story. Ladies and gentlemen, let me just kind of bring you up on to date. Normally each week, my companion and my friend, who's my sidekick, I call him my sidekick, the Reverend James Baxter, we get out each week and talk about and encourage and see what's going on with public education. We do know that there is a shortage of African Americans, to some, mine is black, the word black, male teachers in our school system. I told you this year that over 100 and some teachers was hired, and just 10 to 15 or was African American, perhaps 20. I'm sorry if my numbers are off a little bit, not looking at it. I don't think this year we even hired 10. Please don't hold me just right to it. I may be off one or two. We didn't hire 10 males. And each time we're told that we can't find African American males, but yet we can find them. Follow me and I'll take you and I can show you them in the prison, but I can't show you them in the classroom. So, ladies and gentlemen, we need to make sure that we are producing more. One of the things that the historical Lane College, which is my alma mater, was known for was teachers' education program and putting teachers into the school system. But their teachers, they did not get their accreditation back. And so I said to Reverend Baxter, we need to go and meet with Reverend Dr. Logan Hampton, the president of Lane College, and let's find out the status of the teachers' education program. And if there's anything we can do to assist him in getting the program, or we need some facts. We need to somehow get that program up and rolling again so that we can stop that I can't find and begin to find those teachers. So Dr. Baxter and I met with the president of Lane College, Dr. Logan Hampton, today to talk about public education, to talk about the teachers' education program, and to see what needs to be done, and to share some ideas with him as well. So I had an opportunity to reiterate the vision, the dream that I had, and that was for the remaining portion of JCM that he is not using, which are the classrooms, that we have an incubator program for West Tennessee, that teachers would come there and that they would be nurtured and taught and assist with their teachers' education. And that Lane, my alma mater, will be known as a model program for producing African American teachers, black to me, teachers in our school system. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was my suggestion to him. He thought well of it today after getting to hear me lay it out, and did explain to Reverend Baxter and I what was going on with the teachers' education program. And we have been assured that he's working day and night to get that program back up and running. And so I felt real good about that. And we had an opportunity as brothers to share ideas and work with each other. Dr. Baxter will have him on his show, and we'll get to hear more from him. But I want to take my hat off and say publicly that Dr. Logan Hampton is one very courageous, intelligent, push forward, helping, nurturing president, an asset to this community and certainly to Lane College. And I look forward to, in the months and years to come, to work with him. I did also share with him that by the mere fact that I will be the next school board representative in District 6 and the Lane College is in the district, that he and I certainly will be working together. I shared with him some ideas that I had on, Lincoln Elementary School, which the possibilities of it continue to exist there is slim because of the fact it's been neglected, and it needs somewhere between $4 and $6 million to sustain that building, and it's just not. They're not going to spend the money there. That means the power to be are not going to spend the money. So then, ladies and gentlemen, as I continue to put my platform together for District 6 Position 1, I will share with you the vision that I have for Whitehall School. I would like to see a pre-8 school there. Now, they want to put in some portables. I'm opposed to portables. We have had the hand-me-downs and the last to be thought of. Our schools has been neglected, and it's time now that the community demand that we get our rightful share because we're taxpayers as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have laid out a proposal that will include purchasing properties around the school and building classrooms and have state-of-the-art pre-K 8. So I will be getting with you a little bit later and discussing all of those. Well, so much for that. I did say I'll let you go home early. So before you go home, if you'll get you a plate, a knife, and a fork, I got some food for thought that I like to share with you. And I like for you to partake of it and digest it and share it with others in the community. So at this time, let me get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to propose this to you. Who packed your parachute? Who packed your parachute? Ladies and gentlemen, all of us who have become successful had to have someone that cared enough about us that they packed our parachute. Our parachute. I get it right. Parachute. So I'm wondering, I know who packed mine. God was there packing, and there was many more people there packing it. I had my parents. I had my cousin, my grandmother, my nephews, my uncles, people in the church, people in the community. Our young people that we have today doesn't have the people that we had packing our parachute. So I ask you, who packed yours? Then I turn to you and ask you, why not pack someone else's parachute? Why won't you? Why won't you? Sis, all people, all children. That is where your blessing comes. Your blessings come from helping other people. It doesn't come from being selfish, folding your arms and not doing anything, closing your mouth and not speaking up. That's why lots of us wondering why things not getting good for us, not getting any better for us. The question is, who parachute are you packing? Are you helping someone? Are you trying to make things better? Every week, Reverend Baxter and I go out, and that's what we do throughout the community. We're packing parachute to make sure that everybody have a landing and they all land safely up on successful ground. Please join Reverend Baxter and I and become concerned about what's going on in your communities and what's going on in our schools, and make sure that you're packing someone's parachute. Another question that I want to propose to you. Are you standing in the gap? Are you standing in the gap? That's what I try to do each week, Reverend Baxter and I. We try to stand in the gap for the less fortunate. He said, whatsoever to do to the least of thee, you've done it unto me. That's we working for the Lord. If you're working and you only helping the rich and the upper class, you're not getting blessed. The Bible always say it is harder for a rich man to get into heaven as a camel going through the eye of a needle. You better get serious. The word is real. So each week we try to stand in the gap and make sure that every boy and every girl, regardless to the color of their skin and their zip code, that they get a quality education. I wish that you would join me. Now for another little food for thought. Don't let what you're going through stop you from getting to where you're going. One more time, Professor Meriwether. Don't let what you're going through stop you from getting to where you're going. If you don't have a problem, you're not a candidate for a miracle. If you don't have a problem, and I know it, I know I have problems. I have not only a problems. And so I know I'm in line for a miracle. The question is, are you in line for a miracle? So quit complaining about your problems and start getting on your knees and doing something about them. We have problems in public education. Join Reverend Baxter and I. We'll be on Monday, this coming Monday in my hometown. Reverend Baxter and I will probably be among the only 2 or 3 people that will be at the school board meeting. Yet, the people of the community are saying, I care about the children. Then why don't the hell you show it? If you tell your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband that you love them, they're looking for you to show it. So what are you doing to show some love? Stay with me, and I'm going to close this class out shortly. As we close out this class and give you your little food for thought, listen to this. There once was a man who owned a grocery store, and there was a family down the road that didn't have much to eat. And the little boy was looking in the window one day, looking at those beautiful peas that the grocerman had in the window. And he was hungry, and he thought about his family, so he came inside. And he was admiring those peas. Mr. Thompson said, what are you doing? And he says, just looking at those peas. And he says, well, have you got anything that you want to trade for those peas? The little boy reached in his pocket and he brought out some shiny marbles. He said, well, yeah, let me see. You got those beautiful red marbles. He said, but I tell you what, I would like to have some blue marbles. I tell you what, you take those bag of peas home to your mom. Next time you in here, you bring me some blue marbles. About a month or so passed, and the little boy came in and he says, Mr. Thompson, I have some blue marbles. Mr. Thompson looked at the marble and said, nah, I think I'd rather have green. I tell you what, you take that sack of potatoes, take it home to your mom. Next time you buy here, bring some green marbles. And ladies and gentlemen, they went on and on for a whole year. Later, the next year, Mr. Thompson passed. And ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Thompson, when they had his funeral, 3 little boys approached the casket, and they each put something under Mr. Thompson's lifeless hands. His wife was watching. Ladies and gentlemen, later on, a man came in and was saying, I remember Mr. Thompson helped those little boys. His wife took him to the casket and she raised her husband's lifeless hands up. Underneath his hands was the blue and red and green marbles. Ladies and gentlemen, they hadn't forgotten Mr. Thompson. Mrs. Thompson said to her, to the gentleman, you know, my husband always cared about people and tried to help people. And she raised his hand, and there was those 3 marbles So those three guys, she helped their family. He helped their families when they was in need. Ladies and gentlemen, who are you trading marbles with? Who are you trading to help somebody out? If your hand is closed, nothing can go in, nothing can go out. It's time you get up and reach out and try to help a child, an elderly person, a sick person, a person that's been in prison. It's time to help somebody. America, this country is coming to a close. God is tired of all of this stuff that we're doing. Making sure that certain kids are not given the quality education that they need. Making sure that your child get the best education while pressing those down. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a price to pay for that. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you one more, then I'm going to let you go. There was a young man, and when he came out of church, it came a storm, and he noticed two ladies was running with the church bulletins over their head. And he looked back and he noticed that he had an umbrella. So he pulled over and let his window down. He said, "Ladies, would you all like an umbrella?" And he handed the umbrella out. And the young lady said, "You know what? I just said, I wish to God I had an umbrella." He said, "Well, he answered your prayer. Here's your umbrella." Ladies and gentlemen, he said about a couple of months later, he was at the airport and it came a pouring down raining storm. And the guy was standing there and told him, he says, "Sir, you're going to get soaking wet out there." He says, "Do you have an umbrella?" He said, "No, I don't." He said, "Here, take mine." He gave him one of those large umbrellas, large enough for a whole family to get under. And he said, "Just take it. We got plenty of them here." Ladies and gentlemen, one deed deserves another. And Lord says in his word, "I'll give you double for your trouble." So ladies and gentlemen, this man gave up his umbrella to help those young ladies. And God supersized him with a super umbrella. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm saying this to you. Isn't it time that you get your blessing and it be supersized? Why don't you reach out and make sure that every boy and every girl get a quality education? Why don't you reach out and make sure that you're reading to someone? Ladies and gentlemen, next week I'm going to, share with you an app that is helping a whole lot of those kids who are attending private schools and public schools and academies. And I want to encourage this program and this app to several other people. I'll share that in the weeks to come. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a change. And let me, as I said, let you go early. I'm just trying to read over my notes here and to make sure I let you go. But ladies and gentlemen, the clock on the wall says it's time to go. I've enjoyed sharing these tidbits with you. I hope that you'll join the battle to fight for every boy and every girl, regardless of their zip code and regardless of the color of their skin. We all are precious in God's sight. And unless you're reaching out, remember what he said, "What you do to the least of thee, you done it unto God." So if you help this child to read, you help this old lady, you help this guy to get a job, you encourage someone, all of that you're doing to God. And you're supersizing your blessing. I want a supersized blessing. It's just as easy to pray a big prayer as it is to pray a small prayer. So I got some dreams, some admiration, and I want to give back to the community. I've been a giver all of my life. Don't be a taker, be a giver. I want to become that public servant for District 6 on the school board in my hometown. I've talked on the sideline. It's time for me to get in the game and make a real difference. With your help, those who are in the 6th district, and if you're not in the 6th district, encourage someone in my district. Let's elect Professor Meriwether and Reverend Baxter, James Baxter. He's also decided to give his time and efforts, and he's running for school board. He needs your help as well in his district. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's time we get busy and do God's will. Can't you see this world is coming to a close? Look how blessed you are. You're not in a shelter this week. Your car is not sitting in a parking lot with the smell of foul odor from the flood. Your house wasn't destroyed by the fire. The tornado didn't blow you away. Your family member's not at the morgue, and you're preparing for a burial. Ladies and gentlemen, you're too blessed to sit idly by and do nothing. Join me. I'll leave you with this statement. Don't miss an opportunity to be blessed. Don't miss an opportunity to be blessed. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Straight Talking Room 503, and the author of Enough is Enough. Public education has spiraled out of control. I never did quite understand. In that book, I laid out the pros and the cons. I didn't spend all of my time criticizing public education. I left some ideas and some things that I know that will work. And the book is not flying off at the shelf. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all right. Because I'm being blessed so much for being the missionary that God had asked me to be. I just wish that you would try to learn all you can about public education. You can't fight a problem until you understand the problem. And so that's why that I encourage you to purchase the book. You can purchase on Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, or you can see the author and purchase your copy. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not helping me by purchasing the book. I'm not going to become a millionaire based on the sale of the book. I retract that. You are helping me to a degree, but I want to help you to become informed. That's the basic thing. I didn't write the book so that I can become famous and become a millionaire. I wrote it to inform the community what we need to do to make sure that every boy and girl gets a quality education. The more education a person has, the more they will contribute to the community in way of the tax roll, and everybody can benefit. We can't benefit by our children, Pee Wee and Bubba and them, going to prison and the morticians making all the money, while certain kids go on to become doctors and lawyers and Indian chief. So ladies and gentlemen, that's enough of that. I'll see you next week. Call a friend and tell a friend. You got to hear this class, because he's going to give you the unadulterated message truth. And today he added a little bit more. He cooked up some food for thought and served it to us just as straight as you can. Till next week, remember that God loves you, and I love you too. Take care, my friends.